Hello, Joe Ramone here with Ryan Lancello,
Hello.
and we're very excited because we have a brand new show 5 years into the podcast.
Yeah. Show,
And
segment, whatever.
it's going to be called Joe's Shelf, and the theme of this show is I will pick from my vast collection of physical media a movie that ideally Ryan has not seen,
Generally.
and we will both watch it, and then we will discuss. So
Pretty
it's
groundbreaking.
it's well, it's my chance to get you to watch all of the Laurel and Hardy movies
Right.
and all
Yeah.
that. That's no, within reason. I will not make Ryan watch, you know, things that will make him completely agitated and hate me.
Just not
But
boring. I don't care if they're bad. Just no boring shit. But we'll see. It's
again,
always it's always a surprise.
I can't guarantee that though because I haven't seen the movies either. Sometimes. And today's movie is one that I had not seen before watching it on DVD, which is Sharky's Machine, a movie that was sent to the P.O. box a while ago. We actually used the prop in our little short film that we did for the Kevin Smith Film Festival. We used the Burt Reynolds triple feature, and this was one of the movies in there.
Oh, what was
And
it?
yeah, I was
Okay.
kind of in like a neo noir mood after we did, Zero Effect, and I was like in a mystery mood. And I decided, you know what, let's go with Sharky's Machine. I had never seen it.
I obviously hadn't
Uh,
either.
yeah, but we talked about a little bit. Speaking of boring, you said you found this movie boring.
Honestly, I found it frustrating. Like parts of it were boring. And the parts that were boring really turned me off, but it frustrated me because there's like a really good movie like hidden here. And it wasn't this the sum of its parts did not satisfy me. But
It's a little indulgent.
yeah.
It's directed by Burt Reynolds, we should say that, based on a book by an author, William Deal, also called Sharky's Machine. It's got a great cast.
I know. That's what
You
I'm
know,
saying. I was very frustrated.
80s character actors, Charles Durning, Brian Keith. Yeah, just like a very 80s looking cop movie. I'm not that versed in Burt Reynolds. I know we have a few patrons that are big fans and have sent us some stuff, but I'm not like Smokey and the Bandit's pretty much where my Burt knowledge comes in. Have you seen a lot of his stuff?
I mean, probably about as much as you. Like I said, we've talked about it before. When he was growing up, like his career had ebbed, so he was always kind of like a punchline. Like it wasn't like superstar Burt Reynolds. It was like, you know, it was Norm Macdonald playing Burt Reynolds on SNL. It was Turd Ferguson.
Yeah, but then he kind of got in on the joke, and he was doing a lot
Of course, of course. And, Boogie
self
Nights
parody.
and kind of revived him a little bit, but
Did he hate Boogie Nights or hate working on it?
I don't know. I don't know the story there.
I heard that was like a clash with the director,
Probably. I wouldn't
like a
doubt
Gene
it.
Hackman and Wes Anderson situation.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a great
Uh,
role and he's really good, so he should be happy. He should have been happy
did he get
about
nominated for that
it.
movie?
I believe so.
Well,
Yeah.
well, this is yeah. It's again based on the book. It's. Have you ever seen the movie Laura?
Hitchcock? No. Apparently
I don't think it's Hitchcock. I think it's
it's not Hitchcock.
Otto.
Oh,
No.
Preminger?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah. Right, right, right.
I even see here on the Wikipedia page it says that Burt wanted to do it because Laura is his favorite movie and it reminded him of that. And that's basically a detective's investigating the death of this woman and who's been killed, and it turns out she hasn't been killed, and then they're both and that's basically what's happening here, where Burt is basically spying on a call girl, and he develops an attraction towards her
Yeah, this is like the
Ju-
worst part of the movie.
while him watching her.
It's all of that. It would kill it for me. So the whole thing is like he's Sharky. He's like this homicide detective, and he's super cop. And the movie starts off good, like with a good like action sequence, kind of like where he's undercover, I guess, buying heroin. And I love this scene too. He shows up, meets this guy like under a bridge or whatever. He's got a satchel full of money. Like there's a ton of money
Hmm.
in there. And the guy's like, all right, man, the skag's in over there in that pipe. Like you put it in like a drain pipe or something. It's like a little bag of heroin. It's like nothing.
Inflation, lack of inflation.
Yeah, sure, in the 70s, but it just made me like heroin's cheap. Like there was a lot of money. What about a lot? But that like gets busted up, and like there's a chase and a shootout, and another scene that's funny. Like the guy gets on a bus, like kind of holds it hostage.
Oh yeah,
And
And Bert's just opening fire,
yeah, but he shoots.
not no regard.
It was just weird because it was like a nitpicky thing. Like, what's it called? The guy shoots the bus driver, and then he shoots another guy, and they bust Sharky down because a civilian got shot. Well, they keep saying that a civilian got shot, and I'm like, two civilians. It was plural. Two got shot,
Bus driver.
and the guy, like
And
some passenger.
yeah, he takes a pregnant woman hostage. Bert is still just firing his gun.
Yeah.
Shoots the guy in the knee.
Uh-huh.
I guess, it's standard. You've seen it in a cop movie before. Everyone's pissed at the way this brash detective has handled this case, and Bert gets demoted to the Vice Squad,
Yeah, it's
which
just like way down in the basement.
it's like comical. They've just like there's no windows. It's dark and there's shit everywhere.
Uh-huh.
It looks like a sitcom level police Vice Squad. There's prostitutes and drug dealers and just
There's a cage they're all in that's like right next to their desks. And I'm on board with the movie up until this point. I'm loving it. Like I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. It looks nice. Bert, like you said, Bert directed it. He did 3 other movies. I don't know. Have you seen Gator?
I have not.
So,
No, we
76.
thankfully a majority of his movies have been sent to the PO box. I'm definitely going to check out more of them. I think there's another movie he does with Clint Eastwood.
I don't know about that, but you can tell me about it in a sec. But he directs Gator in 76, this in 81. Oh, no, I'm sorry. In 78, he have you seen The End?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Is it any
Yeah.
good? I had never heard of it, and I was like, what else did he direct? And I see it's him and Dom DeLuise on the cover. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Joe's seen this. But I like the premise. Like he's like he finds out he's terminally ill or something, and so he's
He's, like,
gonna kill
trying to kill
himself, and
himself.
he can't. I'm like, that sounds
Yeah.
funny.
The best thing I could say about it is my dad really likes this movie.
Okay,
so
it's one of them.
yeah, I bet like again, Burt Reynolds is someone that just has an incredibly long career and so many. For every one of these like big giant movies everyone knows, there's like 15.
Yeah,
That
well,
you're like,
that's another
huh?
one. In '85, because I think he directed like basically 4. He may have done like a TV movie too, but it's called Stick, and it seems to be an Elmore Leonard adaptation, which I'm a sucker for them.
There's also one called Malone. He didn't direct that, but
Is that
it looks very similar to this.
Okay.
An
Yeah.
ex-CIA hitman running from his past finds out how difficult it is to retire.
Yeah, so many of these things. He's charismatic, I guess, so they get carried by him. But like
Another one I watched, I'll quickly talk about this one because you'll never watch it. It's called Starting Over. You've definitely seen the poster. It's like him and a woman, and they got their bags packed, and they're like, "We're getting separated."
Is it him and Candice Bergen?
Yeah,
Is it
she's the ex-wife, but the love interest is what's her name? Clayburgh.
Jill?
Jill Clayburgh, yeah.
Yeah.
And in that movie, Charles Durning plays his brother, I believe, and I'm like,
Charles Durning, he's odd in this movie. He's good. I love Charles
he's got
Durning.
like one
but-
speed. It's just like yelling at everyone.
And in that scene where they're in the apartment, his voice is cracking like constantly. Did you notice that?
Well, they must have done it like 9 times.
It's
It's probably all hoarse.
That's true. Well, anyway, like to jump back to the plot, Sharky gets busted down to Vice, and here's. Can you explain to me the plot of this movie? What are they even doing? Because there's there's also the governor. It's played by Earl Holliman, or he's running for governor. He's a candidate,
Yeah.
and he's having an affair with this prostitute, who they're trailing. Like, what the fuck is the plot of this movie? It's some kind of sex trafficking thing, but what beyond that? What is it?
Yeah, they that's how it starts. It kind of like snowballs because originally they're just like trying to bust this prostitution ring or whatever it is.
Is
and then,
that what it is? It's just a ring they're trying to break up?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because I'm like, what is... Halfway through the movie, I'm like, wait, what's going on?
Well, at a certain point, it just becomes like what feels like 20% of the movie is just Bert looking at this woman's apartment across the street,
And that's what killed it for me. I mean, like, look, stakeouts are boring. And obviously, like, yeah, there's a realism to that. But, like, dude...
Did this movie yada yada over the best part? There was like a montage where it's like got real jazzy music and it's like they're like all doing busts. I'm like, this is the interesting stuff. Why is this not?
That part was great.
Yeah,
That part was...
but I'm like, it's like rushed over. It's like this is the stuff that you would expect to see, and
I couldn't believe it. Oh,
I mean,
you know what's weird? Stay tuned, folks, because there's another segment we have. I'll tease that. But the cinematographer, I don't know. This is just totally synchronous. I don't know how would everyone say it. So William Fraker was for this and the one we're going to talk about next. Weird.
you can definitely see a little similarities in those
Yeah, I mean,
two.
like, dude, this movie looks good, and like, it's shot well. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Some of it's not well. Like, he's not the best actor director. Like, did you notice a lot of times they're speaking over each other?
There's a lot of it's just like inconsistent in terms of some of the scenes, and yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain. And also, like, I watched this on DVD. That's the big theme of this particular show. I am watching everything on physical media.
Right.
Ryan is not because he doesn't have it. He doesn't have any physical media. He's
I
got a Godzilla box set.
Yeah, I have some other things too.
I watched it on like terrible like 4:3 ratio, and then like
Why?
that was a couple weeks ago because I had the DVD.
Oh, is that what it is? It's just that's what it is.
I'm committed to the theming of Joe's
All
shelf.
right, very good.
If I have to watch a VHS tape, I will.
Okay.
So that was something I wanted to commit to. But yeah, it was a terrible fucking quality print. And I wanted to like rewatch it vaguely to refresh my memory on some things. So I found a copy online, I'll just say, and it looks so much better when it's like widescreen and HD. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
did you hear about like Warner Brothers is doing this like the DVDs that aren't working anymore?
What do you mean?
I think there's like Warner Brothers DVDs that were printed in like 2006, 2008. They're going bad.
Really?
There's like some disc error where they're no longer working,
The fuck is up with
and
Warner Brothers,
they're
man?
they're offering to send you a replacement copy if they still have like the rights to the movie.
Huh.
Let me see if there's the article. Maybe it's not Warner Brothers. It could be. I thought it was Warner Brothers. Oh yeah, hundreds of Warner Brothers DVDs laser rot, where discs stop working due to a rotting of the layers.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, hey, man.
I
I
just
found
it's
that.
all those. You ever see those cardboard ones where it's like not a proper DVD case? It's like you snap it open.
Could never buy them. When I collected DVDs, there was like tons of movies I wanted, and I liked the box, so I
Yeah.
was like, I can't do it.
The
Can't buy
first
it.
DVD I ever owned, it was Christmas Vacation, and it was one of those. It was like one of the DVDs where special features were interactive menus,
Sure.
scene selections,
Absolutely. Yeah. Scene selections.
cast bios.
Oh
So yeah,
man.
it was Sharky, terrible print, but there is some good visuals in this movie. It's like, you know what the problem is with this movie is it's not like one of those like cheesy action movies where you can have some beers and have a good time with. It's not quite as lively for that, but there is some like unintentionally laugh out loud moments I had with this.
Well, it's great. Like Henry Silva plays this maniac hitman, which
Yeah.
is pretty great. He's always good in that kind of role.
Does he have something wrong with him? His face?
I don't know. I always assumed he got some work done, but he's kind of looked like that forever. Like I'm looking at this poster I have right here. His name's on it. It's Manchurian Candidate. Like he's younger in that, but he has that weird gaunt cheekbone.
Yeah.
But maybe I wouldn't doubt it. It's Hollywood.
You know who else it's nice to see in this movie? Richard Libertini, because he's not doing an ethnic character.
Well, a
I'm like,
little bit.
not like where we've seen him in the
No,
past,
that's true.
in the in-laws and in Popeye, where it's like
Right.
he always played like foreign people. I was trying to think. I'm like, have I ever seen him just play a normal guy? And I'm like, oh, Fletch. He's the newspaper boss in Fletch.
Yeah, there you
But
go. So like the whole thing is Sharky's machine. The machine refers to like his crew he puts together. And like you said, it's a good crew. It's got Brian Keith as Papa, who's good. He's like the old vice guy. Like he just kind of goes with the flow. Bernie Casey's really good as Arch. I liked his Zen speech. He has that thing where he's talking about where he responded to a domestic when he was still like, like a beat cop essentially, like a cruiser, I think he calls
oh,
it.
right.
And he like goes into the house and he sees the woman there with like a broken nose or whatever, bloody nose, and the husband like pulls a gun on him, and he says like, I just kind of went away, like I disappeared, I went into like a Zen zone, and he's like, the guy didn't see me, like he could sense that the guy didn't see him, and like he just kind of walked away, and then like he had moved like he walked like somewhere, and like the wife didn't realize he moved. I don't know. It's a good speech the way he does it. And then I like how he's just like, he tells the wife, he's like, yeah, he's like, don't worry about it. He's like, go tell him you love him. He just broke her nose. Old timey policing. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes it happens. You smack your wife around.
all the Sharky's machine guy. There's one point where I thought Sharky was gonna hit. Is it Domino? Is that her name?
Yeah. Well, she even says it
I,
too. She's like, you want to hit me, Shaki?
their relationship is so strange.
It's horrible. It's just really dumb. Like, it's so
Yeah.
stupid. He's like immediately falls in love with this dumb hooker, and it's like, I don't care, man. Like, I like, just
The
solve the
greatest thing is
crime. Solve the crime.
so he's watching this apartment, and one day the guy running for governor shows up at her big penthouse, who was played by,
Earl Holliman.
thank you,
Yeah.
and he's like, come on, baby, I'm serious. You know, you hear it in all those movies where the guy is trying to get the prostitute to quit. Like, I'm leaving the wife or whatever. I forget what he's saying, but he's making all these promises to her, and she's like, really, really, and he wants her to get out of this line of work. So later, when Sharky is watching, the pimp shows up, or the guy who owns the ring, and is that Vittorio Gassman?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. I believe so.
yeah, it's him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's Italian.
Yeah. Vittoria. Yeah. What'd you think he
Oh, okay.
was?
Uh, listen to this. Gassman was born in Genoa. Genoa?
I think either are acceptable.
All right. To a German father, Heinrich Gassman.
Hmm.
So he's an Italian Jew.
Okay.
And he looks the part. Anyway, yeah, he comes and she's like, "Hey, I want to leave," and he's like, "All right, we're gonna fuck one last time," and this scene goes on for like what feels like 8 minutes of her just like sensually like touching herself in like negligee,
And then
and
she
then
doesn't even get nude. Like, I'm
and
like,
the best is you. They cut to a Bert in anguish across the street. Like
yeah.
he can't watch it.
It's torture when he's like in the room
It's
alone and he's like talking to her because he can
yeah.
hear her. The house that
Yeah,
they bug the apartment. It's terrible.
there's one scene where she's like singing and he's just like laying on the bed, like singing along with her.
It's so fucking
It's so
horrible.
bad.
That's Bert at his worst, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't care. Every time the crew is on screen doing cop shit, I'm like, this movie's great. And then it goes away, like you said, like that. Like, you know what? Another thing, because they bring in like the hitman goes in because he's gonna kill this domino for some reason. By the way,
Mhm.
I guess because she
Yeah.
wants to get out of the life. Is that why?
Yeah, well, she wants to, she's like, she even says at one point, she's like, it's not because of him. I've just had enough.
Okay, fine. So they're gonna kill her for this. Whatever. So Henry Silva goes over, and before he goes over, he snorts a bunch of PCP.
Right.
I love how he cuts up 4 lines and does one too, by the way, and then blows the rest away. Like,
Yeah, and look, I'm not an expert on planning a hit, but I would imagine snorting lines of drugs typically leaves some DNA behind, as it does. I mean, that's kind of how they track him
yeah,
down.
but then he also
In a montage where you
he
get that
eats
little,
a fistful of basically. It's like morphine pills. I don't know. I forget what they call it. It's like synthetic heroin. Like, dude, he eats a fistful. And it's like the PCP I get. It charges you up. A lot of people commit crimes and murders on PCP. Understood. Why he had to cut up 4 lines to do one, I'll never understand.
who's the guy that plays the like the crime
Well,
scene
I'm getting to that.
tech?
I'm getting to that. So after he blows her away, they realize that the hitman also had a room in the same building they were staking out in. Like, he was also staking out. So they go over and he's checking them. And this guy starts talking. He's playing Barrett's the character. It's John Fiedler is the actor. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, he's got a very distinctive voice. I'm like, who is this guy? And it, it clicked. I'm like, oh,
I just realized that
he's
myself.
juror number 2. He's the meek juror in 12 Angry Men. But then I realized, wait, there's something else I know this fucking voice from. And like some fucking 30-year-old memory unlocked in my head. And it was Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. Have you ever seen this?
I'm not a Winnie the Pooh fan.
Well, you're in your 30s. I don't expect these, but when you were a child.
No, even as a kid, that shit
Okay.
never
I
did
love
anything for
I
me.
love the Blustery Day one because it had the Heffalump and Woozle dream. Do
You guys, is there a waifu there as well?
funny, yeah, it's good. Wait, who was the was I think L was a woman. I can't remember, but
What are the other words you just said?
Heffalump and Woozle.
Okay.
You know, because you don't remember this dream sequence, do you?
Huffalump is the like elephant looking things.
Do you remember the dream Pooh
I
has?
Is that where he like falls asleep and like
Yeah, it's generally when you have a
oh
dream.
no, I know, but
Fucking
my
idiot.
my my only exposure to this is there's a ride in Disney World and it's like Pooh falls asleep and like he
Okay.
ends up in this world and it's like bum 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 bum. It's like very like yeah,
Yes.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
dude, it's amazing. I watched that a million times as a kid because it's like freaked out.
Yeah.
It's like crazy animation. It's really good. Anywho,
Have you ever seen the South Park where Cartman discovers that Kyle is dating his ex-girlfriend and he has a nightmare sequence that's like that? It's all Kyle's like marching around to like
that's
it's really
probably
funny.
what it's referencing.
Yeah.
But anyway, this John Fiedler does the fucking voice of Piglet. So I'm like, oh my God, dude, it's Piglet. So I obviously loved his character immediately. And it's funny too, because before they bust into that hitman, like they think he might be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's him, the Libertini character, who's like a sound guy. He's personnel for the cops. And then this Barrett, who's like a DNA science, whatever you want to call it. They're like about to kick the door in. And Libertini plays Nosh. And he's like, I always hated this part. I always hated doing this. And Sharky goes, he's like, what about you, Barrett? And he's got that Piglet voice. And he's like, I always liked this part.
Is that what Piglet sounded like?
Piglet sounded like John Fiedler.
I thought I would, if looking at Piglet, I would imagine Piglet sounds way more like a little child.
They might pitch it up a little bit and make it higher, or he does it higher himself, but he's the voice, man. And
He's also in The Odd Couple. He plays one of the Felix and Oscar's friends.
like, dude, he's fucking great, man.
He is, and he's great in this because again, he's part of this machine. The Sharky's crew is a really great. Sorry, I'm so distracted by the Winnie the Pooh lore right now. I missed so much of this shit. There was a Tigger movie in 2000.
Yeah.
There was a thing called Piglet's Big Movie in 2003. And then there's like Pooh's Heffalump movie.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Yeah, dude, have you heard about this shit that it's like what's it? It's public domain now. So people
Winnie
are
the
doing
Pooh?
like, yeah, they're doing like
The horror movies.
Oh my God.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've been meaning to talk about this on the
Fucking
show,
break.
but I haven't. We haven't. It hasn't come up naturally. This James Bond thing with Amazon buying James Bond. Have you heard this? Are you familiar with this? Yeah, this absolutely. Everyone's like, they're like, oh, there goes the last bastion of like creative, like the last franchise that was. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm sorry, but like some of the movies that like the Broccoli's oversaw were not great.
By the way, I always thought it was broccoli. I heard someone pronounce it broccoli. And
Fuck
I'm like,
off. It's spelled the same way.
I know, but I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense though than
I'll be
fucking
like,
broccoli.
yes, my name is Jack Cabbage. Like, fuck off. I'm not gonna rework my brain to say
Dude,
broccoli.
makes a lot more sense than broccoli.
I don't know, Cubby Broccoli. It's a great name. Apparently, Cubby Broccoli murdered Ted Healy.
Really?
Don't allegedly.
Allegedly.
I've heard that.
Dude, what
I
if we
think
get sued by the broccolis?
I think he had kind of mob ties, though. I think that's known. Oh yeah, here, look. There's a whole fucking thing on his Wikipedia. The Ted Healy incident. Broccoli is alleged to have been involved in an altercation
Broccoli.
with comedian. Fuck off. Creator Ted
Biopic.
Healy. I'm done.
Oh, no, okay, read it.
They had an altercation outside the Trocadero nightclub just before Ted Healy's death in 1937. Actor Wallace Beery and film producer Pat DiCicco beat Healy so bad that he fell into a coma and died, is the alleged story. So,
God, Wallace
anyway,
Beery, man, he was all over the place.
and who's to know what happened with Ted Healy was like a notorious drunk. If you don't know who Ted Healy is, he was the kind of the original Moe of the Three Stooges that
He
they
was like an
hated
asshole.
working with. Yeah,
right?
he was an alcoholic, and he
Okay.
just like the pay split was fucked, and anyway. So Amazon buys the James Bond franchise, and everyone's like crying, like, "Well, now we're going to get like 8 different James Bond multiverse." I'm like, also James Bond is entering the public domain in like 2 years, so you're going to get that regardless. So
Is he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I honestly, I think good. I think it's time for some creative overhaul with that franchise. We talked about it with like when we did the Matador. I'm like, give us old Pierce, give
Yeah.
us, give us a 1960s period, do whatever the fuck you want. But like this like thing of like one James Bond movie every like 8 years, I'm done with it. Like,
I don't know. I have to really sit down and think how I feel about copyright and trademark and all that. There's a part of me that thinks it just shouldn't exist. I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I'm the kind of guy like, once you create something and put it out there, it's kind of not yours anymore.
but what is? I don't even understand the rule. What is it like? X amount of years? Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
That's the thing. I haven't sat down and really looked at it, but I just think it almost doesn't matter. Like take Mickey Mouse for example. Like Disney owns Mickey Mouse, right? You can't do anything with Mickey Mouse. But no, if you were to do something with
Well,
Mickey Mouse,
Steamboat Willie is in the public domain.
sure. And if you do a Steamboat Willie thing now, like no one's going to think it's Disney doing it unless explicitly Disney does it.
Right.
So it's like I understand like you're retaining your property and your ability to make money off your exclusive thing. I get it. But at the same time, like if something becomes big enough, it takes on a life of its own. It's just its own thing. It almost
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's
Well,
like
there
that
is already
fucking-
an unofficial James Bond movie. There's the Never Say Never Again with Connery. That's made by a different studio. You ever? No, you probably never seen it, but yeah, it was when Roger Moore was playing James Bond. There was a legal dispute, and I think it's Thunderball. A producer was able to independently get the rights to Thunderball, and he remade it with Connery when Connery was like way too old, very toupee wearing Connery, and yeah,
Interesting.
I think Kirshner directed that movie.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sorry, you were saying.
No. I mean, yeah, with the Bond thing, whatever, dude. It's not like were making great movies.
No,
And trust me, I have no faith in Amazon whatsoever. I don't.
I know, but like I don't. It's already ran dry. That's what I mean. Like everyone's like acted.
What are you
like,
gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's time to at least try something
Well,
new
I
with
think
it.
it's easy. The joke is going to be like, oh, they're going to make a black lady James Bond or something. And it's like maybe, like I mean, I wasn't going to watch it anyway, so I don't really care, But I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you do it, no one's going to watch it. Like,
Yeah.
unless it's good, which it probably won't be. So whatever. Like,
The James Bond movies are never going to achieve like the tentpole status that they did like when we were growing up, or like just like no one.
probably not.
No.
I mean, you could tell like someone like Daniel Craig just fucking hated doing it, and it came through in the movies, kind of. So it's just like whatever, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I'm like, just make them fun again, or like I don't care. But just everyone's like up and upward about it, and I'm like, this franchise has been ran dry. Like I don't know what Barbara Broccoli was bringing to the table anymore.
I don't know. I did hear the one story where it was just like, these idiot Amazon execs were like throwing out a bunch of dumb shit at her and she was just like, no,
Yeah.
which I guess is good, but then she sold. So whatever.
What a
Like,
fucking a lucky position to be in life that you just like inherit the screen rights to James Bond.
pretty crazy.
It's nuts that it existed. The type of laws existed where that could happen. Like what he must orchestrate a hell of a fucking deal for those rights to hold on to them for that long.
Had to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm seeing right now like she started producing them at GoldenEye. So I don't know. You GoldenEye to No Time to Die. I feel like most of those are misses other than hits.
Well, all the Pierce ones suck, don't they? Beyond Goldeneye. I don't know. I haven't really seen them. I've never been the biggest Bond fan.
Well, maybe one will be picked out of Joe's shelf on a future date.
I would watch that Connery one.
That's a fun one. Rowan Atkinson's in it, young.
Okay. There you go.
Anyway, back to Sharky's machine. So
Yeah, so she has a roommate, this Domino or whatever, Tiffany, and that's who actually gets killed, and she gets her face exploded. So like they all think it's her.
Mhm.
They just until they can figure it out, and then for whatever reason, that's when you get that cool montage.
that's not easier to find out with like DNA. I guess back then.
It was just there was a time gap before they found it out. So for whatever reason, Sharky's poking around in the apartment. I guess because he's sad because the hooker he fell in love with from watching her through a window. And that's the other thing too. She does nothing interesting the whole time he's watching her. Like there's no thing where he's like, wow.
No, she seductively touches herself while.
Yeah, but like she doesn't like read a book he likes or like there's nothing I guess she sings that song, but like
He's
there's nothing.
he's a lonely man.
whatever, fine. But
Desperate times.
he's poking around the apartment as she shows up, and like she's like, "What are you doing here?" Like, I don't know. She thinks he's a John that was maybe there
Yeah.
for Tiffany because she doesn't know Tiffany's dead yet. Even though
That's the greatest
there's a
part too. So
fucking hole in her
yeah,
door,
a hole in the door. Someone's brains have been splattered on the wall, and Bert is just walking around the apartment, like touching the picture frames, and, like looking at the clothing.
playing music.
And she walks in and is like, who are you?" And you also missed the part where they're all in this crime scene setting it up, and Charles Durning comes in and is basically like, "Did you guys call?" He keeps saying homicide. "Did you call homicide?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "What the fuck? You think you're?" It's crazy.
As
I
his
gotta.
voice is cracking.
I was watching. I'm like, I gotta rewatch "Oh Brother Where Art Thou" because that's a great
Yeah, he's
Pappy
he's very
O'Danny.
good. Uh huh.
I remember one time he just goes, "Oh, weeping Jesus on the cross." I forget what it's a reference to. But yeah, so Bert ends up telling her what happened. They figure out that it was Tiffany. She was the girl that was staying in her apartment,
Right.
and he takes her to his childhood home that he has purchased and is slowly renovating. And they get into a very volatile. This character is so unlikable. The
The
Domino.
hooker,
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah,
Oh, he's like, tell me, because there's Victor, right? Is like the main pimp.
yeah,
He's like, tell me his last name, and it's like, just tell him the name.
yeah.
It's just like she won't do it, and it's like this
Well,
extended like, you don't even care, Sharky, or some bullshit.
they go when they walk into his house. He says something like, "And I'll sleep on the floor," and she goes, "I know." It's like, go back to the apartment where someone's brains are splattered on the wall. And
Where
wait for
you're
one of
being
these guys to
wait for
come.
them to kill you.
Yeah. Ugh. I guess it's kind of interesting though, because it's now the movie starts to be like, oh, he's in love with this woman, but she's a bitch to him. Like, but they're gonna fall in love.
Yeah,
Like,
which
you know
lasts
it's coming.
2 scenes maybe.
I also thought that the interesting thing, it doesn't end up going this way, but I was like, oh, this movie, it's going to turn out that it actually was the guy running for governor that killed her. It's going to set this up like it was the pimp. You think it's the pimp, but it's going to turn out it was him. And then it turns out that I guess this guy running for governor is in the pocket of the pimp.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Because it's like, what did he do? Like he wins the governor race, and then they like arrest him at his fucking acceptance speech.
Right.
But quite frankly, he had an affair with a hooker. What has he done beyond that?
Well, I think there's,
I guess,
some drug, I don't know, dirty money.
Fine. The movie, I mean, did I miss it? I may have missed it.
You
no,
saw it. You saw it like I didn't. I watched it again weeks ago, so it's fresher in your mind.
I just don't. I don't remember. I don't know, man.
You were tuned out of the Sharky's machine.
I really was, and like I said, anytime it would start to draw me back. Like, okay, we're gonna like Bernie Casey's gonna go to the Black Club with Bert and like shake down his informant, and I'm like, dude, yes, like here we go. This is what I like. And then it ends, and we're back at his fucking childhood home. Why are my pictures on your wall, Sharky?
Oh yeah, that's another thing. There would have been a way where he could like wait outside real quick. I want to make sure there's no piss in the toilet, but no. He walks in and he's got like all these like creepy photos he took of her from. Is that what it is? It's all the photos they took from the stakeout, and it's like hanging, like this type of shit you would see a serial killer display. And she's like, "Why do you have my pictures on the wall?" It's like, why do you think? Like, read the room, literally.
Yeah, but this movie has some really stupid parts too, which could have been good. Like when Bernie Casey's shaking down his informant, like he flees, like he knocks Bernie Casey over and runs down an alley, and then all of a sudden nunchucks appear, and he's getting hit. Like 2 Chinese guys are hitting him with nuns, like karateing him to death, and like, are you like what? And then later on, like Sharky's initial partner, Smiley, there's a mole.
The names are so stupid.
I know. There's
Domino
a mole
and Nosh and Smiley and
there's
Winky and
but there's a mole in the police department.
Heffalump
Like,
sounds more serious.
Yeah, Lieutenant Heffalump, Detective Woozle. Like it's Smiley, who the first scene he ruins the drug deal. So immediately as I'm watching this movie, I've never seen this movie before. I'm like, that guy's crooked. Like he's like, you should know what's going on here. It turns out it's him.
Hmm.
So they saw, I don't know, I don't even remember the turn of events. They get Sharky on some fucking houseboat out in the middle of nowhere. A scene that could have been good. They chop his fingers off, and it's these two Chinese guys,
He won't reveal where she's at.
right? And it's Smiley who's like, "Come on, Sharky," and then, like, of course, Sharky dispatches all these people, these two ninjas essentially.
Hmm.
Like I say, like, it's ludicrous, but it could have been good ludicrous instead of just stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, why are these guys here? What do the Chinese have to do with this?
Just gotta enjoy the ride, you know. Or you
I
can't. You
wanted
can't
to.
question.
I really wanted to enjoy the ride, man, and the ride left me wanting.
Also, like, it doesn't really show Nosh getting killed. You kind of,
That pissed me off too.
yeah. It's just like,
Even
oh,
though
he's dead, by the way.
he's dead,
Nosh
but
went back to
like,
his home planet.
yeah,
Whatever.
I don't know.
I will say the ending is one of those, like, it's him going after the assassin, the hitman. He ends up uh, shooting him out of a window. It's one of those type things. He flies back out the window, and the guy's falling. And then we cross dissolve to him pushing Domino on a tire swing at the childhood home as the credits start there with very, like, romantic music coming down. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's got some bad tonal shifts. It's just, it's that thing, man. When you're like a guy and you're like, I really like this movie, I want to make my version of it, like my own way. It's like, don't do that.
No.
Like, or do it all the way.
Wait, what did you? This was not the first movie he directed.
Gator,
And what year was that? Like, how many movies had he directed before this?
Gator,
Just Gator.
and actually, I think
The End?
the end. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, Gator. Oh, I forgot he's in Nickelodeon. We've talked about doing that movie.
Yeah,
The
I haven't seen.
Bogdanovich
I saw.
movie.
I really liked that when I saw it. It
Did
was
you?
so long ago, though. Yeah, our buddy Ryan O'Neal, who we'll talk about shortly, was also in it.
Yeah.
It's funny
Remember,
too when
he's
go ahead.
also in Silent Movie. Don't forget that.
Ryan O'Neal,
No,
Bert.
Bert.
Oh, Bert. Yeah, Bert
Yeah.
gets one of the few laughs in that movie when he's in the
Although
shower.
But they kill it. They don't have the. Remember, he said the old
The
ladies
two
should come
ladies.
back?
Yeah. That was so. How do you fucking miss that joke?
Yeah.
You just have them in there with them.
I
Whatever.
was telling Ryan, I was like, I think I'm changing my tune on Mel Brooks. I think I'm
Yeah.
aligning with Ryan. Yeah, I was just like, some of that stuff is really it's like it's enjoyable, but it's like very kind of hacky. It's like that Borscht Belt type of, like, you know what when I was doing,
Oh, yeah.
I did my video on Caddyshack too, and I was watching a lot of Jackie Mason stand up, and I'm like, oh, that's what this is. It's like
Yeah.
that, like. He's like, oh, you know, us Jews got to sing. Jeet, yeah, jeet, yeah, jeet, yeah. I'm like, oh, this is like all Mel Brooks, like. So
Terrible.
yeah,
Have you seen this? You've seen like Life Stinks.
yeah.
Is it good? I mean,
think
I know it's not good, but
I think it's better than the Robin Hood Men in Tights and the
no, that's Drek.
yeah.
It's unwatchable. How about High Anxiety?
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Because I
My
like the
issue-
idea
my
of
issue
a
with
Hitchcock
that-
parody.
Yeah, but he's like, I don't like when he stars in his shit because it becomes like too wink wink. It's like he doesn't play it straight.
Yeah.
And he has to. Of course, in High Anxiety, he has to like become like a song and dance man and do like the High Anxiety. Like he thinks he's Sinatra in that one.
No.
Remember, I forget how you put it,
No.
but you were like, my whole life I've been hearing this guy is so great, and they're like, it's almost like when you have to be nice to a baby, and you're like, oh, look at the baby did something. We should all be really impressed by the baby.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, dude, like I said a million times, legend. I'm sure he's a swell guy. He's produced a bunch of great movies. He's done a lot for people. I can appreciate that.
I keep seeing these fucking photos on of Josh Gad and him, and it's like, it's bad. It's like really doing something to me.
Oh man.
I don't know who looks worse. Somehow the 99-year-old man or Josh Gad. But like that's another thing. It's like there's no way that's gonna be. I sorry, I was going about Josh Gad.
Wait,
but,
what are they doing together? I
Doing
forget.
Spaceballs 2.
Oh God, another dog shit movie. So I can't wait for that sequel. Spaceballs
Yeah,
is awful, dude.
It's gonna be about Barf's son. Josh Gad's gonna play Barf's son.
Is that serious?
I would assume either that or
man.
he's gonna play like Dark Helmet's son or some stupid shit. I heard. I don't know where. I don't know who. I can't give. It might have been one of our patrons said it, or read it in a comment somewhere. But they said Josh Gad does not, for the talent he has, it doesn't warrant the confidence he has.
Hey
I'm
man.
like, that's a fucking great way to. That's why I told you. I'm like, he must just be great in meetings.
Probably.
You know,
Confidence is it's very key.
we gotta get to that point.
Yeah, one day.
How do we how do we get the Josh Gad confidence?
You know, get in the room. Get me in the room. I'll bullshit.
Well, this was the inaugural episode of Joe's Shelf. Not the best movie, and I
No,
think
wanted to love it. Loved
I
it at points.
I think with these shows, they're going to be a little bit different than our main episodes. I think we're just going to be looser and have more fun with it. And almost these movies are like a jumping off point to talk about other shit. We're not going to get too in depth with how they got made and all that.
Right.
It's just kind of an excuse for us to kind of bullshit. But yeah, this was a good pick because it was one that had been sent to the PO box. The PO box is available exclusively to those who support us on Patreon, so it's a good way for you to interact with us. Send us some stuff if you want us to check out. But we're planning to do one of these, what, two a month?
Gonna try to, yeah.
Two a month, and we'll put one out for free on our main feed, and the other one will be exclusively on Patreon. Patreon.com/almost cult classic. So
$5. God,
every
that's
every
like nothing.
other Joe's Shelf will be on the Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, we have some PO box stuff to go through real quick.
Oh boy.
Maybe you can weigh in and see if this is stuff we're going to get to. I have here.
So
Movie
presumably would go on Joe's shelf.
They would. Joe's shelf is running out of room, so sign up for Patreon so Joe can buy a bigger shelf. So this is White Line Fever.
Okay.
Who is in this?
Never heard of it.
Slim Pickens.
Have heard of him.
We have a Matt Dillon film, Over the Edge. This looks kind of like
that rings a bell.
an Outsiders type movie, maybe.
Yeah.
Here we have Martin Sheen in The California Kid. Also
Okay.
stars Vic Morrow. Before he died, obviously.
Yeah, expired.
I'm excited to check this out. It's one I haven't seen. This is New York Stories.
Okay, it was like kind of an anthology, right?
Yeah, with segments directed by Scorsese, Woody Allen, and Coppola. So, oh look, this is what I was talking about with that crappy case, the Warner Brothers case, or this is a New Line Cinema
Little Nicky.
for Little Nicky. This is like, oh, there's a lot of special features. I wonder if there's anything. Oh, look at that! It's got a little. It folds out.
Wow.
Rodney Dangerfield is in this. Why don't I remember that?
Plays his dad. Or no. He plays his
Keitel.
grandfather. Yeah,
Keitel's
Keitel
the
plays the
father.
dad.
Look at that. Look at the cover.
Tarantino's in this.
He's
He
got
plays
the
like the blind street preacher. Yeah, I hate it.
the Twin Towers on the cover.
Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Nice callback.
I've never seen this, but this might be fun to check out. Clerks, the animated series.
It was good. I remember watching it when it aired. I thought it was pretty funny.
How many episodes?
6, could be more. It wasn't a ton. It's good though. I kind of like that blocky animation style too.
You know, I've never seen Dogma.
Hard edges. I wish he would have tried more stuff along those lines.
I've heard he's putting it out. He's getting it remastered.
Okay.
He
I
got the
remember
rights back from the
loving
Weinsteins.
Dogma. I'd probably find it dumb today or something, but when I was younger, I was like, this movie's good.
Speaking of Bert, we have the original Longest Yard.
Okay, never saw that.
Yeah, I watched the remake when we did our Sandler thing. Bert is also in that movie.
All right.
This I've seen this. This might be one to come back to with you. Black Rain.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
Michael-
Yes, that might almost be an almost cult classic, quite
You think
frankly.
so?
Yes. It's Michael
Oh,
Douglas.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah, it's the one where he's in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta watch that, man. That's been on my list for a while.
Well, I'm sorry, it's not Ryan's shelf. It's Joe's shelf. So
For our almost cult classics.
we've got a patron, Luke, and he seems to have collected a bunch of movies that we've talked about doing, and now he sent them to us as like, because we have here a Civil Action,
Oh,
which
c'est
has been
magnifique.
a punchline on the show for many years, because Ryan, as a 7-year-old, went to go see a Civil
I
Action.
was like 13, I think. Yeah, I'm just going to movies by myself at 7.
Got a very nice Blu-ray here of The Day of the Locust.
I read that book.
Did you?
It's great. I have not seen the movie. Do you know what's funny about that movie
What?
or the story? I believe William Atherton plays the character's name.
He
I
does.
is Homer Simpson,
Oh, really?
and that's kind of it was semi. Because Matt Groening's dad was Homer, but I think he made it Homer Simpson because of Day of the Locust.
That's like the original Troll. Everyone knows Troll too. No one ever gives a shit about Troll. The main kid's name is Harry Potter.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
This I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited to finally check out
Oof.
North. Rob Reiner's Big Bomb,
Have fun with that.
arguably called one of the worst movies of all time.
That's what
Right?
they say. Yeah.
One of those. This is one we've also talked about. We have The Fan with Wesley Snipes and De Niro.
I don't know. I feel like I've seen bits of that.
Speaking of De Niro, Ryan and I are planning to check out the Alto Nights, which is getting very poor reviews.
That and I want to see Soderbergh's Black Bag. I heard that's pretty good.
But Barry Levinson, De Niro playing two characters who are unrelated. It's just like a gimmicky thing that they're doing in that.
That's odd.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about this, but I know it's going to be disappointing. It's the Twilight Zone that Jordan Peele did.
Oh, heard it was
Yeah,
awful.
yeah. That's
No,
yeah.
thank you.
Speaking of awful, we have Vampire in Brooklyn,
Never saw it.
which I believe this was the movie that David Spade joked about that sent Eddie into a fury.
Was it that
There-
or Metro?
No, I think it was this. It was a
Okay.
picture of this, and he said, "Look, kids, a shooting star or a falling star."
Yeah, yeah.
Wes Craven directed this, though. Look, he's
And
trying to be he's trying to be all serious and like brooding.
yeah. Well, it's the hair too. Is he supposed to be? He's like a Jamaican vampire, right?
I haven't seen this movie in
Okay,
years.
it's like something or Caribbean or something like that. I don't know.
Oh God. I don't know where he found this. I don't know if this is on. It probably is on DVD. I have Reached the Rock on VHS. This is one of the last films that John Hughes wrote.
Okay.
I think this is late '90s or early 2000s. One of the last ones that he like wrote as John Hughes. I have no idea what it's about.
Never even heard of it.
I always thought it was like an Alcatraz thing because it's rock. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
We have a Billy Crystal triple feature.
Oh
With,
boy.
we have Forget Paris, Father's Day, and Ryan the classic My Giant.
Great stuff. You know, it's funny. I had up for a thing I was writing. I had a character who was kind of like a weird guy, and one of his things was someone's just like, oh, you know, they're trying to make conversation with him. He's like, so what's your favorite movie? And he goes, Forget Paris. And they're like, what? He's like, I love that movie. Who
My
remembers that?
Did you ever see My Giant?
No.
I remember seeing it when I was a kid. I forget that he's either like a Hollywood producer or something, and they're making a David and Goliath movie, and that's how he meets the so-called giant. And I want like when they film the scene, the giant like gets sick and he's throwing up on everyone. That really stuck with me.
Delightful.
This is an Anomalisa. Is that how you say that?
Oh yeah, I mean, we talked about that fairly recently.
Yeah, because Charlie
It's
Kaufman, right?
it's interesting. How long is that?
If it's Charlie Kaufman, probably way too long. 90
Yeah,
minutes.
right.
So I stand
Yeah,
corrected.
I would check it out if it's 90 minutes. I thought it was pretty interesting.
I am very excited to watch this. I've never seen it, but this is the Friedkin 12 Angry Men.
Like I have seen that once.
Listen to this cast. We have Ozzie Davis, George C. Scott, James Gandolfini, Tony Danza, Jack Lemmon, Edward James Olmos, William Peterson. I mean, great cast. I mean, how do you top the original? But wow, this is really exciting. There's it's special feature trailer.
Ooh,
So
that's exclusive.
uh, here we have Chris Rock in Down to Earth,
It's funny, Chris Rock. He did this one, and what was the other one
head
called?
head of state.
Something like
The one
that.
where
But
he's president.
they were both really good premises, and like I heard like both of them were just like they just didn't execute them very well. Plus, Down to Earth is kind of a fucking what's that movie?
It's the Heaven.
Heaven Can Wait.
Heaven Can Wait. Yeah.
Kind of like a twist on that, but
And then we have you ever seen this? Clint Eastwood's American Sniper.
no, but I always found it kind of funny. I don't know, because what was the dude's name? Chris Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lied about a bunch of shit.
Did it?
Like, And then there's like the scene in that movie with I remember everyone talking about with the animatronic
The
baby.
baby.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Clint.
I heard it's okay though. I heard it's
It's
pretty
an
good.
okay movie. It's one I have seen. And then lastly, this is not a movie, but someone sent in a
Oh,
movie to,
that's phenomenal.
and they said specifically for you. It's the Ass Man license plate.
Very good from Seinfeld.
Yeah. Can I help you, buddy? Oh yeah, proctologist. I'll
What's the line
just
too? One in a million shot, Doc. Could have happened
yeah.
to anyone.
Little. I don't know if it probably won't be out by the time this goes out, but I'm doing a video on B movie. So I've been sorting through like all publicity for that movie and interviews and like, man, have you ever seen that?
The movie?
Yeah.
No.
Um, Watching it, I'm like, I don't know how anyone thought Unfrosted would be anything but this. It's like animated Unfrosted. It's the same kind of jokes. It's
Oh
like stupid
God.
cameos. It's the same exact writing team. So,
Terrible. It's got your buddy Matthew Broderick
oh, he's terrible in it. It's got like
as
John
the
Goodman.
bee.
I was like, I don't remember any of this, but like, because I had seen it like maybe once, like when it first came out. But it's like he's suing the honey industry, so they're all in court, and the uh, the other attorney is voiced by John Goodman, but he's doing like a froghorn leghorn. You see,
Well, yeah, Your Honor.
it's like what the fuck are you homaging here? Like To Kill a Mockingbird? Why like?
Yeah, like the Southern lawyer.
But the best is when they were making this movie. I'll send them to you afterwards. They did like all these little online things called B Movie TV Juniors. It's basically like Larry doing Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's all like behind the scenes.
Okay.
It's there's one though where he's like there's a line of people pitching movies at DreamWorks and Jerry Seinfeld comes down and Brad Garrett's in line. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And Brad Garrett's like, "I'm pitching bread." And he's got a loaf of bread. And he's like, bread the movie. I was like, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
They're poking fun at their whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all right.
so I guess next time we're going to touch on another movie I had seen for the first time. Ryan has never seen, but I had the 4K Blu-ray, and it was quite a fun watch, I thought. It's Dragon Slayer.
What's that? 1981.
Yeah, it's kind of a, just
Wait, is it 81?
I don't know. It's got to be around there.
It's
It
funny.
stars Peter McNichol.
Yeah, it is 81. That's just funny because Sharky's Machine was 81.
81.
Interesting. How you,
Very
did
yeah,
that.
a sword and sorcery movie with really great stop motion effects. The dragon in this movie, I'll tease, has been cited by Peter Jackson and Guillermo del Toro as being one of their favorite movie monsters. So
Cool.
that'll be next time. And yeah, if you have any suggestions, hop on our Patreon at patreon.com/almostcultclassics. We're gonna figure out some more Joe's Shelf to do next time.
And
It's
stay
gonna be-
tuned. There's some other fun extra stuff that you will be seeing very, very soon.
That's right. New segments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we'll call it.
We will see you next time for Joe's Shelf.
Thanks for listening.